Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Maddie with the Toasty Bros. And you know how every esports game you play always has minimum and recommended specs? Well, here at the Toasty Bros, we kind of wondered, could we make an average minimum spec gaming PC that's also really cheap, and will it run everything that it says it will?
So we got a couple of esports games that are very popular that we basically took all the minimum spec requirements and kind of averaged out a system that would theoretically play all of those at decent frame rates. Now, what exactly does minimum spec mean? Well, we're gonna talk more about that and dive into these parts after a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by GVG Mall, the online marketplace to gain access to some really awesome discounted game keys, and more specifically, Windows 10 licenses.
With Windows 10, it is so easy just to go onto the website using the link in the description down below, and then go to the Windows 10, click buy it now, add code TB20, then go to the checkout, put in your payment info, and then boom, you will get within a few seconds or a few minutes an activation code that you will go into Windows 10, put in the activation code, and it is fully legit. It will work out of the box, and you will have a fully activated Windows 10 license.
We use GVG Mall for all the PCs we built here at the Toasty Bros, and so should you. So definitely check the link in the description down below and use code TB20 to save money on checkouts.
So if you're ever curious if a game will be able to play with the specs you have, you can look up the minimum and recommended specs. So minimum specs or required specs are typically going to be the bare minimum. What does it take to launch the game at the lowest resolution, lowest FPS? That's what they mean most of the time, and the recommended specs are going to be what's going to be the best, most playable experience for you without going insane budget. So here, we basically took the minimum specs of a lot of these esports games that are also older. So that means they were calling for things like Core 2 Duos, Core 2 Quads, but of course, we had to try to make it a little bit more purchasable because most people aren't going to be going out of their way to buy like Core 2 Duos and stuff that's that old. So we wanted to make it to where it still has a slight upgrade path, but we're still saving a lot of money by not going with the latest and greatest.
So what we're going to go ahead and do is talk about the parts that make up this build, and then let you all in on some of the games we're going to be testing. That would be Fortnite, Rocket League, CSGO, and Valorant. All those do have minimum spec requirements that will average together to work well on this, and we'll talk about those as we benchmark it.
Alright guys, so what I'm unboxing right now is a CPU RAM motherboard combo that is from eBay. Now these are very prevalent. You can find these things all day, all night. And this one is actually a 3rd gen i3, and more accurately, it's the i3-3220, which is a 2-core 4-thread, as all i3s were all the way up until, I want to say 7th or 8th gen even. So they definitely have came a long way. i3s nowadays, you're looking at 4-core 8-thread, no problem. You can play anything you want. You can play AAA titles, you can go up to like a 3060 Ti, but that was not the case back then. Back then, 2-core 4-thread, you had a pretty limited headroom. We do have two 2-gig sticks of pretty nice looking G-Skill Ripjaws. It is just DDR3. And then we have this Asus motherboard that appears to be a looks like it's a micro ATX, but it's almost full size. It's just
we use this one a lot.
Yeah, this exact board though is the P8875. You guys can read and see what you think. I think it's P8B75.
Yes.
Right? It's really hard to read.
Is this like when I was looking at the key switch and trying to figure out what it was?
McAllister's gonna do the thing where he like adds all the different, yeah. Overall though, it's a good combo. We'll probably check the thermal paste and apply some new thermal paste because we want to get the best possible performance. But yeah, I mean, you could really go with like a brand new i3, 8 gigs of DDR4 and a cheap B460 and probably spend not much more than this, but we're trying to go for like the absolute cheapest. Maybe you have some parts lying at home. Maybe you just don't want to spend a lot and you like older hardware and you want to experiment. So that's what we're going for here. Now for storage, we have this 500 gig 2.5-inch SSD. Now obviously a lot of people are gonna be going with like a hard drive or something when it's older specs like this, but they really only tell you what they recommend for the processor, RAM, and how much storage you actually need to install the game. Other than that, it's kind of free games. Like you can see we got a new case, new power supply. They do tell you about the graphics here too. I almost forgot that. That part's really important. But then the storage, obviously 500 gigs is more than enough for any of these games. So most of the games are gonna be like, you need 20 gigs, you need 30 gigs free, but obviously that adds up when you're installing multiple games.
Now what I'm gonna go ahead and talk about is the graphics card here, but I do have to go over because the GPU is probably one of the most important parts in this because, you're gonna do most of the processing on this graphics card. This is a GTX 760. Now in Fortnite and Valorant and I believe CSGO, the minimum specs for the GPU, McAllister have all these on screen right here, was a Intel HD graphics. So basically the integrated graphics on the i3. So realistically, you could run it without a GPU, but we know in all honesty, that those old HD graphics, it's gonna be a really bad experience. And this card actually is the recommended specs for Rocket League, which is weird. The GTX 760, which you would think Rocket League, I don't know, Fortnite seems more demanding than Rocket League in my opinion, but you know, it is what it is. But the 760, or I believe, let me look at this real quick, or a R5 200 series cards, like the R5 240, 250, which is a very broad range, if I'm being perfectly honest here. Those kind of cards would also work, but I think a 760 is a decent amount better than an R5 240. That's a very cheap card. You can get those for like 12 bucks on eBay. So we went with this thing because it's a name brand 760 and it has the 2 gigs of VRAM and it should work. It doesn't have driver support because it is 700 series, so that might hold us back a little bit. But in terms of our minimum spec dream, I think we'll work well here. Now for stuff that's just for normal PC builds. This stuff ain't even crazy. This is the EVGA 600BA, 600 watts. 600 watts is overkill for this build, and you're probably wondering why the heck did I get a 600 watt power supply? I was determined to buy everything from eBay, and I bought this from eBay, and this was the best power supply deal I could find from eBay. It was literally the same price as a 500 watt, so 600 watts. Extra upgrade headroom, so you have that going there. And then this right here is also from eBay. So this right here is the Gamdius Mars case. I think it's the Mars E2 or Talos or something. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's a very nice budget case that you could buy on eBay. Comes with one fan in the back. We might add a couple other up front just for better airflow, but overall, we're not trying to make a super pretty PC. We're just trying to make something that would represent the minimum specs for popular esports titles. And then we're gonna see, can we get 30 FPS? Can we get 60 FPS? What settings we'll have to run at? We'll dive into that in the benchmarks after we build this PC.
Alright guys, we're playing some Valorant and we are on 1080p low settings. So we're definitely doing what we can.
Just got clapped.
But yeah, I mean right now nothing's being like fully utilized, which is a little weird.
But with this game, the minimum specs were the Intel Core 2 Duo E8400 or an Athlon 200 GE, which are totally different CPUs, by the way. I would be willing to bet a 200 GE is significantly better than a Core 2 Duo. 4 gigs of RAM, which we have here, Windows 7, 8, or 10. And it says that you can use either Intel HD 4000 graphics or a Radeon R5 200 series graphics card. So we're overkill on pretty much everything here, minus the RAM. The RAM is the required 4 gigs of RAM. So we are going to get a 60 plus experience, but it is not great, obviously.
This game is so bad. It's not even the gameplay. Like, this game just sucks. This is game of the year right here, ladies and gentlemen. She's a real good game, yo.
You better not have Discord up or anything to talk to your friends while running this setup because it will not go over well. So that's Valorant. So, I mean, with a somewhat minimum spec PC, which is a little bit overkill for this, I mean, you're technically trying to learn Counter-Strike. Don't play Counter-Strike. We're gonna play Fortnite. All right, so now, while we're waiting for things to load in, we are playing Fortnite, which, you know what, just for I guess for the sake of it, we'll go low here, because we gotta go bare minimum. Now, we are stuck on windowed full screen, and I don't know why, but I've had this happen with a couple systems to where you'll apply full screen and the screen will stay black. It just won't go full screen basically. That's ended up what's happening is it ends up staying windowed full screen. It won't let you hit yes to confirm changes are applied because it'll just stay a black screen and then eventually go back to windowed full screen. So we might be losing some performance there, but in all honesty, our CPU is like sitting at 100%. It went down a little bit, but it was just sitting there constant. So the minimum specs for Fortnite are Intel HD 4000 graphics or Iris Pro graphics. Those are not equal. I'm just being honest with you. And the CPU is an i3 3225, which we have the 3220. So, you know,
we're playing,
so we're beating the minimum specs right now. But it doesn't even actually recommend a graphics card for minimum specs. So I think the theory, or the working theory, is minimum specs are really, will it launch the game? And if it launches, who cares about performance? Like, as long as you get in the game, is what we're working with. But I mean, right now it's a stuttery mess, but we're at least getting close to 60 FPS. So I don't know if 60 is the standard for playable. Normally I would think like 30 is, but in a game like Fortnite, I would never play at 30 FPS. It would not be a fun time, but we'll land and see what the performance ends up being. But performance mode does save Fortnite here. When it first launched, it didn't have performance mode, and I think performance mode is really gonna make a big difference with these minimum specs. There's some lag going on here, baby. I mean, it's technically playable, but everything is super delayed.
Latency.
The latency is there. Like, even some of the sounds are kind of delayed. So I wouldn't say it's ideal. Fort Good Night. Okay, that's clearly a bot. Coffee Fuel, that's another bot. Oh! It scared the crap out of me. Where are they? Ah! They're pushing me. Oh. Oh no! Oh, there's two of them! Oh man, the real guys found me. But yeah, Fortnite, it's a stuttery mess. We're getting latency up to 20 milliseconds sometimes. Not great at all. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the i3 is pinging almost at 100%, but probably getting like 6 or 8 gigs of RAM might help it a little bit. But overall, I think that i3, 2-core, 4 threads, just not gonna be great for Fortnite. Let's try CSGO. This game has some very, very low minimum specs.
All right, guys, we're playing some CSGO. Quite a old classic game. We're currently on 1080p, and we're at low settings. We're getting 150 FPS, so we're definitely looking good FPS-wise, which is awesome. And honestly, I expected this game to run worse. I know it is older, but it's just optimized like really weird. So yeah, it doesn't always run the best.
So yeah, minimum spec for CSGO is an Intel Core 2 Duo E6600 or an AMD Phenom X3 8750 or better. We got 2 gigs of RAM for the minimum requirements for this game. I have a feeling 2 gigs would be a struggle. Even with Windows 10, like, you probably would need to go like XP or 7 really to be comfortable with 2 gigs of RAM. And then 15 gigs of storage space. And the video card must have 256 megabytes or more and DX9 compatible. So I think we definitely, what is going on?
Internet issues, question mark?
That was some weird like rubber banding. I don't know what that was.
That was definitely felt internet. It didn't feel like it was game lag for sure.
Now, one thing it says too is the resolution it recommends for minimum is 720p. So we're going 1080p here. We're using, again, a system that's kind of the average between all these esports titles. So this definitely is a game that these specs are a bit overkill for.
I got him. I got him.
Did I kill my bot, Connor?
Stop shooting back.
Yup. Adrian got you, man.
Bot Adrian.
You're strafing.
Yeah. Toxic.
That's CSGO.
That's CSGO.
Let's play Rocket League. All right, guys, we are in Rocket League, and oh my, did that guy just really score on me? Okay, well, you know what? Good start, good start. The minimum specs for Rocket League are a CPU of dual core capabilities, 2.5 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, and the graphics card's a 760, which we're using right now. We are on all low settings 1080p, and we're getting like 200 FPS. So I think Rocket League suggestions are very loose. You could probably go a little bit lesser than this on low settings and get a playable experience, but okay, all right, we're gonna over his head, just like that. He wasn't ready for that. Oh, I missed, oh no! It's the i3, he got me. All right, listen, Cloud, listen. You know what, it's just like last time, I didn't have my headphones on. Oh, you monster. Oh, not that time, buddy.
You didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I felt the forfeit coming.
Already? That was a quick forfeit, but I mean,
the forfeit coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's playable. More than playable, actually. 100 plus FPS. Really, in Rocket League, you just need 60 FPS with decent frame times, and you'll be fine. You'll be able to compete with all those console plebs out there on the PS4. Let's go and wrap this video up real quick.
All right, guys, we just got done benchmarking our minimum spec esports PC, and it played everything, and honestly better than I expected. I will say that Fortnite and Valorant were definitely playable, but not the most enjoyable. We're having pretty bad latencies, and they definitely weren't the smoothest experience. But CSGO and Rocket League, they definitely kind of overestimated their minimum specs, or at least we overestimated them with this PC.
In games like Fortnite and Valorant, those are games that are constantly getting like bigger updates, so the graphics do change, so I think that probably has to do with it. Games like Rocket League and CSGO has changed a bit graphically, but for the most part, those minimum specs are probably still good. But if you guys are interested in us doing one for, let's say, AAA titles or higher end games, let us know down below. If you guys have any ideas on what that spec configuration would be, let us know down below. We'll do our research, but I'm just kind of curious what you all think would be the minimum spec for AAA titles.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
So this minimum spec esports PC will be for sale at PCBros.tech for a great price, but we also have really high-end AAA machines as well.
PCBros.tech is where we sell gaming PCs, gaming laptops, and so much more. And we have a special discount code for you guys, Toasty Bros Show and checkout. You can save 2% of your next purchase. See you guys later.
Peace out.